Hi everyone, Greg Follette here, speaking to you from our home vineyard. This is where my wife Mara and I live and tend these vines. And we're going to talk to you today about what's happening this fall as the vines are starting to go dormant. If you take a look down along the edges of the vineyard, you can see that the edges of the vineyard are really green, the outside plants. Whereas if you look further in along the rows, you'll see that the leaf fall is already very significant. And the main reason for that is because these end vines here don't really have any competition. So there's nothing on the outside. And so the roots can perfuse and go quite a ways and get a lot of nutrients. And so they want to go until later in the season. If you go a little bit further in, you can see that these vines right here are surrounded by lots of other vines. And what's happening is there's a lot of competition for these vines. And so they're going dormant earlier. They're saying, guys, it's time for us to repartition or rechannel our carbohydrate resources from this vegetative strategy to storing our carbohydrates in permanent woody structure, which is the trunk and the tap roots underneath. And you can also see here that there's really good wood ripening called periderm formation. Periderm formation means that you've got brown lignified stems, and that's very important for several things. If you get earlier lignification, that means that the vines are also repartitioning their carbohydrate resources from vegetative strategy, making leaves, to growing berries, of which you can still see a few here. This is from a second crop, berries. But on the end, if we go back to take a looking at these end vines, you'll see here that these guys are still wanting to grow. And so there's not as much permanent carbohydrate storage in the permanent woody structure. And if we can find a grape or two, you can see that these grapes are actually a little bit more plump and have taken a little bit longer to ripen. This is some of the magic that happens in the vineyard, and it's one of the reasons why we need to pay attention to the vines, why we need to really listen to the vines and see what it is that they have to say so that we can partner better with the vines and the land so that next year's crop becomes even better than the year before. And after so many years, you really start getting to know these vines like an old friend. And you may have arguments with them, but you understand each other, and we know exactly what to do to help these vines make the very best wine they possibly can. This is what really excites me about living in a vineyard and being in a vineyard. And that's getting to know every vine, getting to know all the soil that's here, and living a life of the earth.